I want to get a perspective in from someone who's in the thick of things. Joshua Hantman is a political and strategic communications advisor who is also now an advisor to the families of some of those hostages. Joshua, welcome. Thank you for your time. This is an unfolding situation. I was in Israel for a couple of weeks. I've just returned to India now. I was reporting on what was happening there. I met with several of those families who you likely represent as well, who you're advising. Joshua, we've been hearing a mix of things coming in over the last 24 hours. There's information now about a 4-hour pause by the Israeli Defense Forces in northern Gaza every single day. And this could be connected to some kind of a possible deal that is being brokered in Qatar. Anything you can share with us? I understand these are very sensitive things that are in motion. Whatever you can share with us, Joshua.
So first of all, please do allow me to apologize, because as luck would have it, as soon as the interview started, we were forced to go into the bomb shelter. So I actually have my 4-year-old and my 1-year-old and my wife behind me here as the air raid sirens were wailing about 2 minutes ago. So I apologize.
No need to apologize, Joshua. I completely understand that. Please stay safe. Yes.
Thank you. And also allow me to wish you and all of the viewers ahead of Sunday a happy Diwali, because even in the darkest of times, we believe that with friends like India and the United States, light will overcome and will prevail over darkness.
So and happy Diwali to you as well, Josh. Thank you. Yes.
Regarding your questions, look, we experienced on the 7th of October the greatest massacre of Jews since World War II, since the Holocaust. And we had crazed Islamists, Islamic jihadis, who broke into our neighborhoods, who broke into our communities, and they carried out the most horrific actions. And we are now fighting not only to destroy the Hamas infrastructure, but, and again, I apologize about the noise, but to get these hostages home. They took children from their beds. They have 240 hostages currently kidnapped. And I understand that there is sort of a double parallel track. You have the diplomatic track, which you discussed in your piece earlier, and obviously the military track. And our forces are going in a very measured and precise manner to not only dismantle the terror infrastructure, but also to release those hostages.
Joshua, how are the families doing, if I can ask? We do see them sometimes. 34 days is an agonizing amount of time to live in total uncertainty about your loved ones. You have first-hand contact with them. How are they doing? Tell us that.
So I'm working with them day in, day out, and I can tell you all the families are responding differently. But just imagine for 34 days going to bed without kissing your children good night, waking up in the morning without kissing your children good morning. Some of the children have their parents in hostage, their grandparents in hostage. It's absolutely horrific. And the whole of the people of Israel, and indeed I see our friends around the world are with us, the people of India, the people of the United States, majorities in the UK and across Europe are standing with Israel as we do everything to get these hostages home.
Is there reason to believe, Joshua, and I sincerely pray this is not the case, that some or many of those hostages may no longer be alive? Is it possible? Because no proof has come in from the Hamas's side. They've made some stray comments saying the airstrikes have, possibly killed some of those hostages. Any information at all of this kind?
So unfortunately, even before the airstrike started, we don't have the full picture of exactly who was taken into Gaza, who was taken alive. Some bodies, believe it or not, 5 weeks later are still being identified. The atrocities that were carried out were to such an extent that some of the bodies are completely unrecognizable. So we're working around the clock, and the authorities are working around the clock with the intelligence services to not only identify exactly who is there, but to try and understand who is alive and unfortunately who isn't.
Final question to you, Joshua, is about the negotiations that some news agencies have been reporting about some kind of a deal that could be being brokered in Qatar. Obviously there's never going to be any kind of official word on these because these are extremely sensitive. They're shape-shifting, things change. But Qatar is understood to be some kind of a broker. They are known to, of course, be the place where the senior leadership of the Hamas has lived for a very long time, practically like a safe haven. The Mossad and the CIA have also gotten involved, we understand, through delegations. Anything that you can share with us about this? Because Through the last 34 days, we've heard about prisoner exchanges, we've heard about, American nationals being released, and, permutations and combinations of all kinds, but there is no clarity. Is there a deal of some kind on the table?
So the families are hoping and praying and pressuring for a deal as soon as possible, some sort of deal. No one knows what that exact deal will look like, but we will fight this war as if there is no diplomacy, and we will continue the diplomacy as if there is no war. We must do everything to bring these family members home, back to their loved ones, and we will continue to work every single track, both civil society and the government, in order to get these hostages back to their families.
Are they hopeful? You say that all families respond differently, Joshua, but are they hopeful that 34 days later, that they will see their loved ones sooner rather than later?
So the air raid sirens are finished now, so my family can leave the bomb shelter and we can have some peace and quiet in here. The families are all responding differently. I believe there is an amazing strength that they are receiving from the resilience of the people of Israel. Everyone is united behind the families and indeed behind the army that's going into the most difficult and dangerous situations to try and free those hostages. And I believe, like I said at the beginning, with Diwali around the corner, lightness will prevail over the dark. And I think we will be seeing some of these hostages home, and I pray we will very soon.
Joshua, we wish you, your family, a very happy Diwali, and we wish the same, light over dark, for all of the families of those hostages and any innocents who are affected in this terrible cycle of violence that we're seeing play out. I request you to stay with me for just a moment longer, Joshua, because we're continuing to report, updates that are coming in from the war zone, from what's happening, on the front as well. Defense forces, we now hear, say troops of the 7th Armored Brigade have raided a Hamas outpost and training camp in the northern Gaza Strip over the past day, seizing dozens of weapons and killing some 30 terror operatives. The IDF says troops captured assault rifles, missiles, mortars, drones, maps, communication equipment and other technological equipment from the site. It says the troops also raided the offices of Muhammad Sinwar, the brother of Hamas Gaza chief Yahya Sinwar, capturing weapons and other materials. Remember this in the wake of some unconfirmed reports suggesting that Yahya Sinwar, perhaps the most wanted man in Gaza, being cornered in some kind of a tunnel or a bunker, even though there is no confirmation of that. Josh, one of many updates coming in from Gaza at this point of time of a Hamas training camp that has just been raided. But I wanted to, actually ask you about what we've just seen you and your family go through. Another rocket alert, another dash into a bunker. I myself, have lost count of how many times I had to do the same thing when I was there for 2 weeks, recently, earlier this month. But the fact that the rocket alerts are still going off suggests that the Hamas, still has some kind of a latent offensive capability, Josh. Even after 34 days, they still have the capacity to attack.
I think what we need to understand is that Hamas have placed their entire military infrastructure underneath the ground. And this is going to be a long fight. It's not going to finish tomorrow. It's not going to finish next week. We're in for a long fight. And the IDF is going in a very surgical and precise manner, slowly and carefully, taking out not only the terrorist cells themselves, but also the bunkers that house the rockets, the ammunition dumps. And like I said, they're putting their civilians, whilst we go underground to protect our civilians, they put the terrorists underground and put the civilians on top to protect the terrorists. It's completely the opposite. It's a complete double war crime. They fire at our civilians while they hide beneath their own civilians. And this evil must be defeated. And you're right, the rocket sirens are still going. My kids are terrified every time the rockets come flying over. Thank the Lord that we have the Iron Dome system that can actually shoot the missiles and the rockets out of the sky. But we know that we're in this for the long run. This is not going to be a short fight, but we have no choice. We're fighting for our homes and we're fighting for our existence.
Josh, to you and your family, as always, stay safe. Thank you. Despite that rocket alert, despite that dash to the bunker, for keeping your time with us and joining us live. Thank you very much, and our good wishes to all of the people of Israel at this point of time.